Have you ever noticed something strange? You can know a relationship is over, accept that it wasn't healthy, even tell everyone, "I'm moving on." And yet, the moment your phone lights up, a tiny part of you still hopes it's them. Why? Because the hardest breakup doesn't happen in your heart, it happens in your brain. And once you understand that, healing becomes a lot easier. Most people think they're crying because they lost someone, but that's not the whole truth. You're crying because your mind refuses to accept that the future it created no longer exists. The vacations you imagined, the conversations you never had, the birthdays, the one day your brain had already turned those dreams into memories of the future. Then one day, they vanished. And that's why it feels like someone stole a life you never even got to live. Now here's something almost nobody realizes. If I asked you to stop thinking about your ex, could you do it? Probably not, because the human brain has a strange habit. The harder you try to ignore a thought, the louder it becomes. That's why saying, "I need to stop thinking about them," usually has the opposite effect. So if forgetting doesn't work, what does? Imagine moving into a new house. For the first few weeks, you'll still reach for the old light switch. You'll walk toward rooms that no longer exist, not because you're confused, because your brain is running an old program. That's exactly what's happening after a breakup. Your brain wakes up expecting a good morning text. It reaches for your phone when something exciting happens. It wants to share your day with the person who used to be there. You're not weak. You're not obsessed. Your brain is simply following habits it repeated thousands of times. And habits don't disappear overnight. But here's where most people accidentally stay trapped. Every time they feel lonely, they check their ex's profile. They replay old voice notes. They scroll through old pictures. For a moment, it feels like they're getting closer. But what's really happening? They're pressing the reset button on their own healing. Imagine trying to heal a broken bone, but every morning you hit it with a hammer. Would it ever recover? Of course not. Your heart works the same way. Every visit to the past tells your brain, this is still where we belong. Healing doesn't begin when time passes. It begins when you stop giving yesterday permission to control today. Now here's the part that changed everything for me. One day I realized I didn't actually miss every moment with that person. I missed how I felt when I was with them. There's a huge difference, because people can make us feel loved, safe, important. But those feelings were never owned by them. They were experiences your mind created, which means they can be created again, with someone else, or even by yourself. And that's the moment healing starts. Not when you find another relationship, but when you stop believing your happiness left with the last one. So, instead of asking, "How do I get them back?" ask a better question. What kind of person would I become if this pain became my greatest teacher? That question changes everything. Maybe you start going to the gym. Maybe you finally learn that skill you've been putting off. Maybe you reconnect with friends. Maybe you travel. Maybe you discover a version of yourself that would have never existed if your heart had never been broken. And here's the strange part. The day you truly move on usually isn't dramatic. There are no fireworks, no movie scene. You simply laugh at something, finish your day, lie down to sleep, and suddenly realize they weren't the main character in your thoughts anymore. You were. That's what healing actually looks like. Not forgetting someone, but remembering yourself. So if your heart feels heavy today, remember this. Some people enter your life to stay. Others enter your life to change you. And sometimes, the relationship that breaks your heart is the one that quietly rebuilds your life. One day, you'll look back at this version of yourself, the one who thought the pain would never end, and you'll smile. Not because it didn't hurt, but because you survived something you once believed would destroy you. And that's when you'll realize you didn't lose your future. You just made room for a better one.